when you have that little voice in your head that starts rationalizing and starts debating with your discipline.
And starts making excuses.
Think about where you're going to be in a week. Think about where you're going to be in a month.
Think about where you're going to be in a year.
And then get disciplined right now. Right now. Just decide to be disciplined.
It's very
You become so obsessed and distracted by convincing yourself that you can't do something that you don't even give yourself the opportunity to try. This way of thinking is one of the biggest obstacles to achieving your goals. Self-confidence allows you to move out of your comfort zone and take risks without any guarantees. When you develop in yourself this unshakable quality of self-confidence, everything else will be possible for you. Big goals do not motivate you. They actually destroy your motivation. So, when setting goals, it's very important to make sure that they are definite and realistic and measurable. You also want to make sure that you have one major goal that you're constantly working towards. Think about how old you are right now. I don't know how old you are right now. Okay, I want you to go back 10 years ago. If you're 30, you were 20. What were you worried about that was keeping you up at night at 20 years old? 10 years ago, what were you worried about? Do you even worry about that today? Was it the end of the world? No. At many different points in their career, people have to slay some dragons. You just have to slay some dragons. And the better you become over time, the easier it gets at slaying the next dragon. People do not change until they realize that the pain of staying the same is way worse than the pain of change, because life is either easy now and hard later, or hard now and easy later. Everything in life has consequences. Getting up and taking action towards a better you is always harder now. Whether it's your body, your money, your relationships, choosing hard now will make your life easier so much later down the road. We did not come this far to just break down and lose now. I'm a winner. I'm going to win. People give up right before they get what they always wanted to get. People quit and they give up. That's the hardest thing in the world, to get up every day and give 100% and be in the same position that you were each day. But mentally know that you're trying and trying and trying. That's a real grind. The only person you can control is yourself. People are not who you want them to be. Kill your idols. Sure, there are things we can learn from people, but people aren't going to be what you think they are, what they should be. People, even those people you have put up on a pedestal, are going to be flawed, weak, egomaniacal, condescending. They're going to be lazy, entitled, short-sighted. They will not be perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, it takes a lot of energy to reach your goal. It takes a lot of emotional, mental, and spiritual energy to reach your goal. And you can run faster with the hunters who want to go than with one around your neck. Nourishing relationships are the relationships that inspire you. They motivate you. They bring the best out of you. Toxic relationships are relationships with people that always criticize you. All they can do is find fault. All they can do is just exploit your weaknesses. All they can do is remind you of the mistakes that you've made in the past. You know what strength is? It's not being strong. It's not muscles. It's not making everything look perfect. It's going through your hardest times and still pushing through it. Strength is sometimes crying through your day but making it through your day. Strength is sometimes barely making things work, but it ends up working. That's strength. Stop thinking because you're going through hard times that has to be a hard life. Don't let a hard moment, don't let a hard month, don't let a hard year turn into a hard life. Human beings that get obsessed and immersed in any topic can become great at it, and so can you. So pick what you want and get laser focused. Begin to eliminate all the distractions. You are not hungry enough, you are not starving enough, and you are not focused enough. I say this to you as a friend. What are the things that are stealing your focus? Who are the people that are stealing your focus? And begin to eliminate these distractions. Get laser focused and obsessed on what you want. Be starving and hungry to get it. Be desperate to get it. The combination of desperation and hunger with laser focus over an extended period of time is the formula to be great at something, because you can't control other people. You can't make them what you want them to be. You can't make them who you want them to be. The only person you can control is you, And then I would say, you live for the day. Maybe a week's too much even. But for the day, it's like get up in the morning, you think, I need to do everything I can to make this day as meaningful and rich as I possibly can. And hopefully I will have had a full day by this evening. And then I'll be able to sleep. And then I'll be able to get up in the morning and say, I'm going to try to make this day as useful and meaningful and engaging as it can be. Because they've been saying I can't. It's too hard. My life will never change. It's someone else's fault. Those thoughts have consequences in the body. So then if a person becomes conscious of those unconscious thoughts, becomes aware of how they speak and how they act, and they notice how they're feeling, and they're no longer running the program. It's my mom's fault, my dad's fault, it's my husband's fault, my wife's fault, it's this, it's that, it's this, it's this. You're living your life like this. And as long as you live your life pointing the finger externally, you give that external force, whatever it is, the power to control the rest of your life. Get laser focused. Eliminate distractions. Eliminate the things that steal your laser focus. Audit your research on it, your obsession on it. Begin to do these things, and you will begin to change your entire life. So, focus on making yourself who you want to be. Faster, stronger, smarter, more humble, less ego. Discipline your body. Free your mind. Get up early and go. Get after it, and you will become the person you want to be. But you've got to get hungry, and you've got to get focused. And I know these sound like basic things, but go to any area of your life where you want something right now. Pick the number one thing you want to change: body, money, business, relationship, faith. I don't care what it is. Rate it right now, 1 to 10. How hungry are you? Every time I've lost, people say you got to jump right back up. I disagree with that. After you lose or when you get knocked down, stay down there for a minute. Understand why you lost. What were the reasons? Why are you down here? Why did you lose? So every time I lost, I stayed down for a second, minutes, hours, days. But when I stood up, I was ready. See, when you're going someplace and you already know how much you're going to make, you already know how far you can go, you're in a dead-end position. It erodes your self-esteem. It lowers your sense of yourself. It creates an inner turmoil. It creates an emptiness in you. So I say that your life is worth finding what it is that you're supposed to do. And every single day I was pursuing perfection and excellence, even though I knew I would probably never catch it. But just the fact that I was willing to chase it, I would defeat most of my opponents, because most of my opponents would never chase something that didn't have any guarantees attached to it. Most people need guarantees in order to be great. Just keep working at it just a little bit. But do find out what your work is and hold on to it, and don't let your dream go. Don't let it go, but maybe tomorrow you can pick up that fire. Perhaps you can make it a little bit more bright by focusing on the things that you know you can control, rather than allowing it to wash over you. Well, I would say pick something, right? Pick something, a nameable goal, and then try to implement it. And what'll happen is you'll learn a lot by trying to implement it. And one of the things you might learn is what a slightly better goal might be. You know, because if you try something diligently and you succeed or you fail, you're going to learn from the effort expended in the detailed implementation of the goal. It's going to inform you. You will be slightly different as a consequence of the attempt. And what that'll mean is that the next goal you pick will be a little more suited to you. And so the moment you stop making the same choices that you always make, get ready because it's going to be uncomfortable. And that's the moment you're heading towards the new self. And we call it stepping into the river of change. But now remember, 95% of who you are is your body as the mind. You know, you've done something enough times that your body does it better than your brain. So you may actually complain unconsciously because your body does it all the time. Now, all of a sudden you say, no complaining, no more blaming, no more feeling sorry for myself, no more talking about other people. I'm going to stop. If you can see it here and you have the courage enough to speak it, it will happen. So I see these shots. I see these sequences and I don't shy away from them. A lot of times people believe in certain things, but they keep it to themselves. They don't put it out there. If you truly believe in it, if you become vocal with it, you are creating that law of attraction and it will become reality. What comes out your mouth is what's going to come back to you. It's the law of attraction. I'll never get anybody. You're right. I can't lose this weight. You sure won't. I'm going to get fit this year. Strong possibility you won't. I'm going to be rich one day. Strong possibility you won't. It's how it works, man. It is the law of attraction. The moment you say it, you begin to change. It's the process. If you think big, you'll be big. If you think small, you'll be small. There is a moment that comes up, and you've heard this said time and time again, that everyone wants to be a beast until it's time to do what beasts do. Progress is a foundational pillar of human happiness. So, ironically, the one thing most people avoid in their life is hunger, which is caused by being desperate. When you're starving, you become desperate. Think of somebody who's starving on the street. They've got to survive. How resourceful would you get if your children were literally starving and you had to feed them, right? So the number one thing we need more than anything to win is hunger, which comes from a state of desperation. Yet we're constantly trying to comfort ourselves in the real world to avoid the state of being desperate. And I'm telling you that I think you need to embrace desperation again in your life. Like, do you want it so bad that you're desperate for it? So, people procrastinate because nature is telling them to procrastinate. They are lazy because nature is compelling them to be lazy. And if you don't build the desire to overcome those things, if you don't build that up, walk that process and do the things that you need to do to fan the flames of desire, then you won't. That's why I said life full, die empty. What if you lose? What if you fail? What if things don't work out? So what? It's not about the goals that you reach, it's about what you become in the process. That's what it's about. The people that are going to change their life, the people that are going to recover their health, the people that are going to build their lives and start all over again from scratch are people who believe it's possible. The people who fail are the people who suffer from possibility blindness. Nothing would stop you. All of the silly things that happen that we let slow us down is related to our lack of hunger and desperation. And so I'm here to ask you, how desperate are you for what you want? Like, here's what I think. I think most people just like their goals. They like their outcome. They're not hungry for them. They're not starving for it. They're not desperate for it. But when you start to feel that desperation, it's one of the most powerful emotions in the world. I had a really good friend of mine. I went to lunch and he said, I don't know who this guy is here in front of me. And he goes, let me ask you a question. Honestly, right now, what are you grateful for? And at the lunch I said, Jack, nothing, brother. There's nothing good in my life right now. And I'm not exaggerating this to you when I tell you this, and this is a factual story. As I'm speaking these words, two people walked in with an older man. Both of them clearly were fighting cancer somehow. Both had lost their hair. One of the ladies had a bonnet on, and they were barely moving in. Both walked by our table and gave me the most warm greeting, the warmest smile as a stranger. And he goes, that's pretty pathetic. You can't find anything in your life to be grateful for right now. And on the drive home, I'm not kidding you, I started to stack gratitude. I started to take inventory because if you can find things to be grateful for in that space, man, your life is going to be rich when there really are external things to be grateful for. So my first mechanism out of that space was honestly to stack the things I was grateful for. And I started reinforcing it over and over and over again. And what happens is there's this reticular activating system in our brains, right? And all of a sudden, because that's the messaging I was giving myself, all of a sudden, all these things start to come into my awareness that I'm grateful for. I start to magnetize to myself some people that I needed to find into my life. And that was the next layer. I started to see things to be grateful for, my health, my fitness, people who loved me. And what it did is it changed my state. When I stacked gratitude, I changed what I did in the morning and I changed what I did in the evening. And so somehow by grabbing control of my morning and by grabbing control of my evening, I got some measure of control over the middle of my day. I was an out-of-control person back in those days. Meaning this, I woke up worried, stressed, fearful, and I immediately started thinking about a bill I had to pay, something that was wrong, and I'm in a state of reaction to begin my day. I'm talking within 6 minutes of waking up, 6 seconds. Most people listening to this, that's what they do. I said I got to grab control of my morning, and I set up routines in my morning. Maybe they served me, maybe they didn't. But they were things I could deliver on doing for myself. That which you do not hate, you will eventually tolerate. And I think that identifies most people's lives. In other words, the average becomes sort of like this slow asphyxiation. It's almost like an anesthetic. And over time, we become kind of immune and dulled to the average that we're becoming. I know this is true, at least for me. You probably experienced it yourself too. And so over time, we sort of minimize where we're at. In other words, I'm a little overweight. Instead of being, no, you're seriously out of shape, right? You don't magnify the degree to which the pain ought to be affecting you. And so, really what he means by that is, listen, you're going to get out of your life what you'll accept. That's really difficult for people, I think, to understand. Look, what you think you're worth and what you're going to tolerate is absolutely what you're going to bring into your life and what the outward part of your life's going to look like. And so I live by that. Like I let myself sort of feel the pain and the difficulty of being not where I want to be in whatever that area is, whether it's my spirituality, my relationships, my money. I let myself feel that pain because, as you know, there's two motivators, right? There's the gaining of pleasure, right? Wanting to go get something, chasing the dream. But then there's the avoidance of pain. And for a lot of champions, that's a pretty big driving force for them. And so, at least for me, I leverage both of those things on myself to get myself to take action. It's this thing people think that, like, I'll be happy when I get this big, amazing home, or once I get this car, or once I get this relationship or an amount of money, then I'll allow myself some happiness. The problem is the finish line always moves. You never arrive there, right? The other part is people think, well, if I enjoy myself now, I'm going to lose my drive. In other words, if I can just wire myself with enough pain all the time, I won't lose my drive or ambition. The truth is, there's no correlation between the two at all. There's no relationship between you feeling complete pain all the time and maintaining drive. And so I talk about living in a state of blissful dissatisfaction. And really the best example of that would be like if you've ever had a good meal, right? If I bite into a great piece of steak, if you're a steak eater like I am, you take that first bite, it's like complete bliss, right? There's no correlation between how great that tasted and your lack of desire for the next bite. In fact, that bliss causes you to want more of it. And so the more we can begin to reward ourselves with bliss, we're not going to lose our dissatisfaction. We're not going to lose that drive. And so for me, our brains release a dopamine hit when you do something successful. If you constantly cheat yourself out of that hit, right, biomechanically in your body, less and less in the future, will you want to achieve the next level, the next dream, the next step. And that's why so many people stall out in life. They got to a certain point and they cheated themselves out of the bliss, out of the celebration. It's important that we celebrate our wins. We celebrate our lives because it causes us to want the next bite. It keeps us hungrier, not the reverse. And so for me, I want to live in a state of being grateful and blissful now, not waiting for some future place or date that may never arrive.
Self-confidence is really self-trust. So the first thing is the people I know that are really happy are very self-aware. In fact, the best entrepreneurs I know are very self-aware. They're aware of their shortcomings, right? They want to improve them. They want to get to the next version of themselves all the time. And so for me, self-confidence comes because I didn't have it. And I think anytime you meet somebody like yourself or myself who might now appear self-confident, it's because we really had to find tools and resources because we were so insecure and shy and introverted. So I had to find techniques and resources to build that up in me. And for me, it's very simple. It's the promises that I keep to myself. If I have a habit over and over, beginning to stack one on top of the other of keeping promises I make to me, not other people. In other words, the minute you begin to get external in your life, worrying about what other people think about you, right? You've lost all control, and it will never fill you up. People's admiration People's gratitude towards you will never fill you up. It's your own approval. It's your own validation inside. And so for me, self-confidence comes from keeping the promises I make to myself. And the other part of it is being aware I'm doing it. In other words, most people don't give themselves enough credit all the time. They're very aware of the 20% of things they're not doing well and not aware of the 80% they are, right? And that's why the dosage is so important too. You've nailed it. It should be 80-20, right? Because people get addicted to this negative self-talk. I'm not good at this. People don't like this about me. I don't feel good. Instead of focusing on the 80% and stacking it up. Wow. I did eat what I said I was going to today. I did get up when I said I was going to. I made the amount of phone calls I committed to. I treated people in the way I promised myself. It's not just doing those things. It's rewarding it. It's being aware of it and stacking that up. When I work with athletes, the successful athletes I work with, when they're in a slump, it's never that they can't hit a ball anymore or make a shot or swing a golf club. They've lost their self-confidence. Somewhere along the way, they've lost the ability to focus on the things they are great at and stacking those promises they make to themselves. And the way I get them to break their slump is not correcting their swing or getting them positive affirmations. It's getting them to acknowledge the small promises. Showing up to batting practice early, hitting that extra bucket of balls, beginning to reward themselves for the extra promises they keep to themselves, puts them back in a state of self-confidence. All of a sudden, they're hitting the ball great again. The power of ownership. Taking control of your life. There's a truth that many people avoid. Something that's uncomfortable to face but necessary to hear. Your life is in your hands. Everything that happens to you, everything you want, everything you dream about, it all starts and ends with you. And until you accept that, until you take ownership of your life, nothing will change. We live in a world where it's easy to point fingers, to shift blame, to say that the circumstances aren't right, that the economy is tough, that the world is unfair. And you know what? Sometimes it is. Sometimes life throws you challenges you didn't ask for, things you didn't plan for. But the reality is this: complaining about your circumstances changes nothing. Wishing things were different changes nothing. What changes things is action. What changes things is ownership. So many people are waiting for life to give them a break. They're waiting for the right opportunity, the right moment, the right set of conditions. But here's the hard truth. Life isn't going to hand you anything. It doesn't owe you anything. If you want something, you have to go out and take it. You have to decide that no matter what, you're going to make it happen. Because the time you spend waiting is time you could spend building, improving, and moving forward. Think about it. Every day you wake up with a choice. You can either take a step toward the life you want, or you can stay exactly where you are. It's that simple. And too many people are stuck in the same place, living the same day over and over because they've convinced themselves that they don't have control, that life just happens to them. But the truth is, your life is the sum of your choices, your actions, and your mindset. You have far more power than you realize. We all face obstacles. We all deal with setbacks. We all have moments where it feels like the world is working against us. But the people who make something of their lives, the ones who build something from nothing, are the ones who refuse to be victims of their circumstances. They refuse to be defined by their past, by their mistakes, by the things that didn't go their way. Instead, they take what they have, even if it's just a small opportunity, even if it's just a glimmer of hope, and they run with it. And here's something important. Motivation isn't enough.
It's very common.
You can listen to
among
all the
highly
motivational
creative
speeches
people,
in the world.
Both artists
You can get
and
fired up.
scientists.
You can
And
get
I'd like to give
inspired.
it a name.
But if you don't take
Slow
action, if you
motion
don't do something with
multitasking.
that energy, it fades.
Slow motion multitasking.
Motivation is a spark, but it's discipline that keeps the fire burning. It's action that creates change. Too many people are sitting on the sidelines watching their own lives go by, waiting for someone to tell them it's time to start. But no one's coming to tell you that. There is no permission slip, no approval you need. If you want to make your life better, if you want to build something real, you have to give yourself permission. You have to decide that today is the day you stop waiting and start moving. Here's what I believe the world needs to hear right now. Stop letting your potential go to waste. Stop hiding behind excuses, behind fear, behind what-ifs. Yes, the world is tough. Yes, the circumstances might not be perfect, but life is never going to be perfect. If you keep waiting for things to align, you'll spend your whole life waiting. And by the time you finally decide to act, you'll realize that you've let too much time slip away. We need to understand that every day is an opportunity. Every day is a chance to do one thing that brings you closer to the life you want. It doesn't have to be a big step. It doesn't have to be life-changing in the moment, but it has to be something. One workout, 1 hour working on your dream, one call to a person who can help, one decision that takes you out of your comfort zone. Because those small actions, they add up. They build momentum. And before you know it, you'll look back and see that every small step was part of something bigger. But here's the catch. You have to start now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not when the conditions are better. Now. You have to stop waiting for everything to be perfect because perfection is a myth. You have to be willing to fail, to stumble, to look foolish, because that's how you grow. That's how you build a life you're proud of. People often ask, what if I fail? But what if you don't? What if taking action, even when you're scared, even when you're uncertain, is the very thing that changes everything for you? What if by moving forward today, you set a chain of events in motion that leads you to where you want to be? And even if you do fail, even if things don't go as planned, you'll be stronger for it. You'll have learned something. You'll have moved one step closer to where you want to be. Because here's the truth. The worst thing isn't failing. The worst thing is doing nothing. You felt it before, haven't you? That feeling of stagnation, a lack of progress. The feeling that no matter what you do, the world continues to pass you by. The reason that you aren't making progress towards your goals is because you think too much, all of these negative thoughts like, oh, what if I fail? What will they think of me? What if I'm not good enough? Oh, I can never do that. That's why you need to turn your brain off. If your thoughts are the thing that's holding you back, the solution is to simply stop thinking. Once you do, you need to act. Get in motion. Execute on your ideas, because the faster you take action, the faster you fail. The faster you fail, the faster you will be able to grow. And the faster you grow, the faster you will ultimately achieve success and accomplish your wildest dreams. You have to understand that if you simply stop thinking and start taking action, you will build a level of efficiency, a level of discipline that makes it impossible for you to not achieve your goals. Successful people stay ready because they know the moment's going to come and they can't let the previous moment or the previous day or the previous thing affect the moment that's going to be there. And that's why you prepare for your future. Be ready for the moment because it's coming. Don't let the previous moment affect the next one. Stay present. Stay focused. Look for opportunities. You were built for this week. Maybe this moment right now is the catalyst. Please stay emotionally regulated. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. It's okay. I know the end of the story. None of us are getting out of here alive. I have this great quote. To know that even one life has breathed easier because you have lived, that is to have succeeded. Ralph Waldo Emerson. That's your job this week. And you got to be ready because someone needs you. And you got to be on the ready at any given moment for that person who needs you. This week there's going to be a couple of those moments. I want you to crush them. The bittersweet reality is sometimes it's the things that break your heart that ultimately give you the greatest clarity. In those moments that leave you shattered, the moments where you feel like nothing will ever be the same, that's when you realize that some things shouldn't and can't remain the same. Heartbreak has a funny way of clearing out what you thought that you wanted, what you knowingly or unknowingly have outgrown, and revealing what you actually need, what your soul actually needs. So if you're hurting, there's only one thing to do. Keep moving through it. As long as you stay open, stay honest, and keep going, the clarity will come and it'll be well worth the wait. The higher you fly, the deeper you fall. So if you want to fly high, do it. But if you fly high without somebody telling you before you're starting the flight that there will also come the descent, then I think it's kind of blind. Okay. Then I think it can hit you too hard sometimes without knowing it's going to come. So in a way, just to keep it in mind that there is something in our lifetime which is always balancing out. My entire life changed when I realized you don't plan your future. You plan your actions today, and those actions create your future. Stop worrying about your 5-year plan, your 10-year plan, or anything like that. Start focusing on the actions in the present. The things you can do today that will compound positively towards the future that you desire. If you do that, you can change your entire life. The difference between a dream and a goal is a timeline and accountability. The next year is going to go by whether you're doing something about your life or not. I mean, just sitting around dreaming. Someday I'm going to get a different job. Someday I'm going to change this. Well, someday ain't a day of the week. The energy it requires to start doing something is way more than the energy required to continue doing the thing. And the beginning of doing anything results in the lowest amount of reward, both internal and external, than when you've been doing it for ages. Those racing thoughts you have, those sleepless nights, the anxiety, it's all there for a reason. It's telling you something. It's telling you that you need to take action. All of those emotions are telling you that you're meant for more than this. So, don't ignore it. He said, I dream my painting and then I paint my dream. Take the picture in the mind and then paint it on the wall or on the canvas. Well, if we would relax and build the image in our mind of how we'd like to see ourselves, how we'd like to see ourselves acting in life, relating to other people, our social life, see ourselves in the position we hold, and then take that picture and describe it. Write it out in the present tense. I am so happy now that I see myself, and write it out. You will never become who you want to become, so long as you are a slave to your desires. If you cannot control your desire for food, your desire to be lazy, your desire to act out of emotion, they will control you. We all have our short-term impulses, but I'm sure that you have long-term goals. And if you ever plan to achieve them, then you need to learn how to take control of the situation and act differently than your impulses would like you to. A lot of people's idea of freedom is just doing whatever you want. But doing whatever you want actually makes you the ultimate slave, because whatever impulse enters your brain, whatever you feel like doing in the moment, you have no control over whether or not you do that, you just do it. That is not freedom. That is mental slavery. And that will hold you back from everything you actually want. But the idea is this never-peak mindset, that I will continue to evolve and become the next best, greatest version of myself. But for goodness sake, never be the person who says, my life has peaked. The best of me is behind me. And you're always lamenting and talking about the good old times that are back behind you. There's something massively wrong if all you're doing is living in the past and never giving yourself newer, better, more challenging hobbies, experiences, abilities, traits, and skills. Brother, your fear of taking risks is killing your potential. You might think that the unknown is the scariest thing out there, but the real danger is playing it safe. Because you're not avoiding failure, you're avoiding growth. Every time you play it safe, you're burying your ambition deeper and deeper underground. You're watching from the sidelines as others pass you by in the game of life, getting further and further ahead. You're stuck in the same place while they rise. Eventually, you have to ask yourself what's worse, taking the risk or living with the regrets of never trying. Because here's the truth. Every success is built on risk. You could either face your fear and take that leap, or stay where you are and never get anywhere. So feel that fear. Take the risk and do it anyway. Because fear is not your enemy. It's the signal that you're about to grow. Don't let fear control your life. Because the only thing scarier than failure is never trying at all. People that win long-term are the people that make it so hard to lose that it becomes easy to win. People are walking around, brother, and they're setting themselves up for failure. They wake up on their phones till midnight in bed scrolling. They don't study. They don't learn. They don't self-develop. Imagine you made it so hard to lose that winning was just kind of inevitable. So, set up the systems in your life. If you're trying to lose weight, don't have junk food inside of your fridge. Get rid of it. Do you know how much energy is expended in the battle with things that you're supposed to purge from your life? Just get rid of them completely and focus on making it so hard to lose that it becomes easy to win. The person you have to spend the most time listening to in your life is yourself. Try not to lose their respect. Self-respect and self-esteem largely comes from having faith in your own word. You don't build confidence by shouting affirmations in a mirror, but by giving yourself a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. Outwork your doubts. When people hear you speak, they should think that they're listening to a champion, to a leader, to a world changer. Because the way you speak, it should represent who you are and where you're headed. Only positive things. No problems, only solutions. Not how hard your life is, but how hopeful you are for the future. It's just a bad day and it's not a bad life. You know, even the greats feel down like this at times. Loss is loss, man. Like, you can't do anything about that. You just have to remind yourself that you started on this path for a reason. When you made that decision in the first place, you weren't lost. And while things may feel bleak now, there are brighter days ahead. Things are going to calm back down, and you just have to stay steady and keep pushing along. And look at you. Look how far you've come. You faced your trauma, and you came out on the other side. You can do anything you put your mind to. I promise you. If you put your mind to it and you work hard and you never give up and you do not listen to the rejection, you can... There's two ways to see the world. Some people see the thing that they want, and some people see the thing that prevents them from getting the thing that they want. Your imagination, you're the only one who can see it. You're the only one who can see it. The problem with your imagination, though, is you tell it to the wrong people. How many times have you had this really incredible idea and you took it to your family and your friends? You shared it with them and they shot it down. You know why they shot it down? Because they couldn't see it. See, all this stuff you've been imagining, you ought to start working on it. Your real life is in your imagination. Dust off your imagination and just go for it. You got to try. Quit waking up thinking you don't have any say in your life. You have a choice in this matter. You can't stop what happened to you, but you can sure do something about what happened to you. Life is 10% what happened to you and 90% what you do about it. I said it before and I'll say it again as well. The most important thing after all of this is action. You won't receive any of this until there's action. Ideas are just ideas until action. So that's nothing other than action. And then lastly, I'll leave you with this. Get a piece of paper. I'm getting tired of saying it, but I'm going to say it all year. I'm going to say it as many times as possible in this 365-day series. Get a piece of paper and write down what you want to accomplish and your best self. Keep it in your pocket every single day. Whatever it is, make sure it's in front of your mind every single day, because then that's on your conscious and then your subconscious connect emotion to it. Then your emotional connection and consciousness is going to be connected, and your energy is going to be more motivated. Don't violate the conclusions of your own philosophy by not executing and taking action, taking notes, rolling up your sleeves, going to work. Commit yourself to learning so that you can get smarter for the days ahead. We all have dreams. So then it's very scary sometimes to accept the dream that you have, and it's scarier still to say, okay, I want that. It's scary because you're afraid that if you put your heart and soul into it and you fail, then how are you going to feel about yourself, right? So being fearless means putting yourself out there and going for it no matter what. Go for it. Not for anybody else, but for yourself. One of the things you have to understand about life is everything changes and everything ends. And that kind of sounds heavy on the front end, but it's a truth. If everything changes and everything ends, number one, it should make you appreciate what you have right now. And then my view is what's next is always better if I make it so. It's my job to make it so. I call it the dark room where you're alone. No cell phones, no music, no TVs, no computers. You by yourself. Very few people want to be alone anymore. They want to be around noise and people, and they have to be. You can't think. Be alone. Go to that dark space. In that dark space, shut life off a little bit. Go to a dark place in your mind and figure out what you want to be. The superpower of learning to be alone and enjoying it. Well, I think it's critical, and I do think that these times where you just think about things, just be alone and think about things are so rare these days. And I think during those rare times is when you really get to understand what you actually believe or don't believe. Champions aren't found on the podium with their hand up. No. Champions are found in the lab, in the studies, in the thousands of hours of hard work when no one's watching. That's what makes the will unstoppable. When you're here where no one else is, and you're pushing yourself harder than anybody with no one around. It begins right now with no one looking, man. And how you hold yourself, how you see yourself. What do you do when no one's watching? Our minds are morphing from minute to minute if we let them. If you are not paying attention, if you are on cruise control, then your mind is not under your own control. We can't be in cruise control. You can't let your mind be in cruise control. You have to be cognizant of what you're thinking. You have to be aware of how you are being influenced. Because in this day and age right now, if you aren't careful, you can slide down the path of least resistance, the path to weakness, and the path to a lack of control as to what is happening in our lives, in your life. Life will happen to you instead of life happening for you. Do not allow that. You have to take control. You gotta do something to get control of your brain. You gotta check yourself. Control the things you think about. You can actually control how you feel. You can control what you think. And you can definitely control what you do. You gotta be the master of your mind. It's always the quiet work that you put in with your own two hands when no one else is watching. That's the 1 degree of separation from you and everyone else when it comes to productivity. It's the quiet work you put in when no one else is watching. It's not what you get that makes you valuable, it's what you become. So part of the key here is to set the kind of goals that will make something of you. Don't set them too low so that you don't have to grow and you don't have to read and you don't have to try and you don't have to stretch. Don't set them too low. And then don't sell out. Don't go for something that's going to cost you your virtue or cost you your values or sell out your principles. There's a good middle road here to follow. Goals that will inspire. Goals that will help you grow, change, develop, and become better than you are. Okay? What's on the other side of that door? Well, the only way to find out is to walk through it. You got to take the action. There's no other way. It's like you can't defeat an enemy that you don't fight against. It's like, oh, they're charging at me. They're charging at me. Yeah. So, what are you going to do about it? Life is charging at you every single second. What are you going to do about it? Charge back.